From our perspective, looks at the lives and behaviors of millennials, Generation Z, and the changes that are happening in our 21st century and the innovators that are making it happen. We will explore trends, technology, music, fashion, social media, business, science, the arts, faith, and lifestyle. So come join us on Comcast, Verizon, and online.
My name is Samantha Lynch. I am an artist. I'm a visual artist. I do illustrations. I have a YouTube channel and I teach people how to create art.
My name is Anthony Barnes. I am a creative filmmaker and also a YouTuber.
I think a lot of it has to do with money, since we're talking about entrepreneurship. Company owners, they recognize that they have to be where the marketplace is, and where the marketplace is in this century is online. So they need to make their brand online, and customers and people like to feel, they like to feel close to a brand. They like to feel like they have a connection with that brand, and so the stronger the connection is with the presence of the company's social media marketing, the more that customer is going to be connected to that brand and want to buy from that brand.
Largely, I think it's because that from generation to generation, the technological landscape is very different in ways that we didn't really see in times before. Whereas, like in times past, you could expect one generation to do the same profession as the previous one. That is not what we see today. There's a lot more opportunity because of technology, and because the speed at which our tech is advancing. We're finding that the older generations are finding it much easier to become irrelevant, and there's a need for intergenerational communication. That's how that's how best we learn from generation to generation. The older generations can take their the knowledge that they have, take the wisdom that they have from their experience and apply it to what the younger generations find as new. Meanwhile, the younger generations take the new technology and share how to operate it with the older generations, and then what we find is that it's we can better find knowledge knowledge of how things have changed, but also knowledge of how things haven't changed at all. Because
Yes.
we may think, oh, times are so different, but really there are certain things that have never changed throughout history. And sometimes it takes an older and wiser perspective to recognize that, so that we can apply age-old wisdom to the present day, to what is new, what seems new, what seems like a new landscape.
Yeah.
I would say that we're we're very I guess you say entertainment oriented,
Yes.
very much entertainment oriented. Anything that causes that momentary dopamine release, we're all over it.
Yeah, short films, animations,
Yeah.
anything. Like, you just think of YouTube, anything that is that we can watch, and yeah, things that are funny, things that are interesting. A lot of vlogs. Even just people living their life. They'll record it and they'll upload it, and we'll just watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say that, yeah, that's like the vast majority for sure.
Food challenges, like
Is it? I think I've heard a
a
little
lot
bit
of
about
eating
that.
challenges. Like, I remember, I don't know, this was like maybe 5-6 years ago. They did the spicy noodle challenge, and that was really popular, and a lot of people were doing that. So
Yes, I think. Yeah, I also heard of the one chip challenge.
I haven't
The
heard of
one
that.
chip challenge, yes. Even Shaq didn't. It's basically you take a spicy chip. I don't know what company it was, but they had this one chip challenge, this ridiculously spicy chip, and if you could eat it and not drink any milk or anything afterwards, then you won the challenge. A lot of that is because, well, yeah, I mean, in previous generations, they didn't have time for any of that because they were too busy trying to survive, right? It's like you didn't have time to endanger your life.
And by survive, you mean like pay the bills and.
Sorry. I think more like big picture. Like I'm talking like, okay,
You mean like way.
1800. Like we're
okay.
talking like, okay, for let's go back as far as say 1800s. Actually no, ancient times, 1800s. Right? For a long time, we spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to make survival easier, and now we have. And so we're kind of coming up with the question, okay, now that we have all this time on our hands, what do we do with it? And, well, we haven't always come up with we don't always come up with the best answers. But, but I do think that there is, that time spent preserving the knowledge that we've gathered, as human beings in general. Time spent preserving that knowledge, passing it on, making sure that the coming generations have it.
Yes.
To the point that they don't necessarily have to learn as much by experience that the previous generations did. That is a real challenge, because there's one of the sources of intergenerational strife is an unwillingness by younger generations to learn what the older generations have to teach, because they believe that the new technological landscape, because it's new to them, that means everything that they knew before is obsolete, when the truth is there are some things that just never change, no matter what technology is at the time.
Yes. And something that I've noticed about the baby boomers in Gen X, they have a lot of podcasts. Things aren't just oriented within the entrepreneurship towards putting out their brand and whatever they are promoting and selling, but also like you're saying, passing on that knowledge. And they have a big concern about having an impact on the culture that goes ahead of them, and just are concerned about social change. So that's another thing that we are seeing with the type of media that they put out.
The first cause of that is simply too much choice. Again, we look across human history to times where we look back to times where children did the same thing their parents did, and we look at today, that's drastically changed, right? We have the choice. We can choose to do what we want to do with our careers. The question is, what do we do? You know, we have so many options, and and decision making gets harder the more options you have. So you know, it becomes necessary that at some point you're just like, okay, I'm doing this, and no matter how hard it is, I'm just gonna keep working at it until this thing works. And that's kind of scary, especially when, and it's also very hard to do, especially when you're constantly being distracted by the emergence of new opportunities. So, you know, you've been at this thing for 5 years. For all you know, it could take off in the 6th. But you'll never know, because at some point you ran into, yet another opportunity that looks pretty good. And so you abandon what you did for 5 years, thinking, this is never going to work.
Yes, I would like to add on to that. It reminds me of a saying, I think that I've heard, that you can either do one thing really well or you can do 5 things poorly. And so there is something to starting something and just keeping on it and building upon it and having momentum, versus you have all of these options and hobbies and things, and you're trying to do a whole bunch of things, and we don't have unlimited energy, we don't have unlimited time, and so you're dispersing your energy and time into multiple things, which could all be successful, but you just have to make sure that you're gonna stay motivated enough to actually see that thing through,
Right.
or else it'll just be left out there hanging, and you've put energy into it, and so now you're frustrated because you lost that time, you've lost that energy, and you still have to find something to make a living that you're going to hopefully enjoy. So
And so here's the thing, because lack of, like, the situation we find ourselves in pushes us towards a kind of a lack of vision, right? We can look, we can believe in a dream for, like, okay, let's see, all right, 2 years, and if it doesn't work, all right, we'll on to the next thing, right? That's a problem. We have to be able to, like, go through, I think, like a phase of being a jack of all trades, because like, naturally, you know, because whatever goal we're looking for, it's naturally going to involve other people. We just don't know who exactly those people are or what skills they're going to bring to the table. And the way we find that out is by pushing towards that goal, all the while acquiring all the skills we need to do it on our own, discovering, yeah, we definitely can't do it on our own, and then getting the specific help we need from people who have the skills that we haven't really mastered, to the point that we just focus on the one thing that we're good at.
yeah, I definitely don't think that our educational system has done us any favors in this area, because the way that it's designed, like the public school, they say, okay, you're gonna learn these set of skills and that will give you your degree. And so you don't, like, again, with, like, time and energy, that those years that you could have spent, like, being in specific programs, unless you happen to be someone who's in STEM, because they're very, very helpful with STEM, then you have to work harder, and you have to be more creative with how you are going to build the skills that you need to go and do what you want to go and do.
Yeah,
So,
no, it's been said that colleges nowadays, what they were really designed to do, and initially was, and I can't remember, I think it was, yeah, it was based on the Prussian model of education from many years ago, when they were trying to produce compliant employees who would simply just do as they're told, not ask a lot of questions, but get stuff done for the sake of someone else's vision. And we kind of stuck with that model until it was way outdated, and we have all this technology now. People can set their own visions and work as teams as opposed to, hiring a bunch of employees who don't really know what's going on. So to kind of be sticking with this model, like it doesn't really make a ton of sense unless it's something like STEM or law, because you need two things for that: education and experience, and both of those are built into those fields. A lot of other majors don't really have. They give you the education, which is basically they just kind of hand you the information and they tell you, well, this is true, we think, and that's about it. But there needs to be a shift in like the way we learn, so that we can more easily figure things out on our own, and come up with our own systems of organization that work for us personally as well as corporately.
Because that's real life. You have to do it yourself. You have to figure it out yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where that motivation comes in. Like you have to really be driven to achieve your goals, because it may not take, especially, on the topic of entrepreneurship, if you want to start a business or something, it may not happen the first year, it may not happen the first 3 years. You have to keep at it. And yes, you can be doing other things, but you have to put a lot of energy into that. So, yeah.
The person who has somewhere to go isn't going to get as far as the person who likes walking. Right? They're not going to, basically the person who's focused on the destination, they're not going to walk as long or as hard as is required as someone who actually likes walking. So that's why it's best to stick with something that, one, you're either good at or that you enjoy. Because if you enjoy the journey, then the destination you don't have to worry about. The destination can have 20 different detours, and you're okay with that because, goody, I get to keep walking. Whereas a lot of people get hung up on images they see of the destination, right? What it looked like, the house, the car, the business, the trophy, whatever. And sometimes they forget, okay, wait a minute, I'm going to have to be able to enjoy this, because it's going to get difficult. And there are going to be moments where the environment around my work environment isn't going to be pleasant. I'm going to be facing failure a lot. I may very well be facing other people telling me I'm going to fail, and I have to be able to continue through that. And what else is going to keep you through that except for the simple fact that you actually like doing what you're doing and you believe in it that much? So.
Yeah. So that's an interesting point, because on the flip side of failure to fly, you have, I succeeded, but I hate it.
Yeah. No, but again, is that success though?
Yeah.
It's like, you're right, because you imagine you failed to define success in the beginning. And so that's even worse.
Yeah.
It's still a form of failure. It's like, okay, you get to the thing that everybody else said was valuable, only to find that you didn't succeed.
Yeah.
You attained success as defined by the world, but at the cost of your own success. Personally, the one thing that scares me is the idea that I'll have gifts and talents that are never realized, right? Sometimes I would get overwhelmed with the idea that, I can do this thing. What if I never get great at it? It's like, I know I'm pretty good when I'm not really trying, but what if I never, and so yeah, sometimes when I'm working on something, I'm thinking about the other things I could be doing.
Yeah. So it definitely takes a lot of personal reflection on what what do I want to achieve? You know, why? And without comparing yourself to anybody else and saying, why do I want to do this? And what is the point that I'll be satisfied? Like, I don't know why I thought of this. Like, if, say, different people can juggle, right? Like, you may not be able to juggle with fire, but maybe you'll be happy if you can like juggle with like a few things, you know? So just defining your own personal success.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Establishing your vision, and making your plan, and sticking with the plan. Yeah, the plan is going to change, but don't abandon it. Like, just don't abandon the plan, because if you abandon the plan, you abandon the vision, and then you have to start from scratch again. And that means that all that time was wasted. Or you can say, no, that time wasn't wasted. This is just, we're just taking a detour. This is just a building block. Like, this is just the foundation for what we're gonna do next.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. Yeah, I would say be very careful. Like, have not just your vision for success, but have a vision for failure as well. What does failure actually look like to you? Because I think a lot of us we don't really define failure for ourselves as well as success, and that's why we're all disoriented. So and we end up thinking that, oh, something that somebody else did, that's success, and my failure to do that's the definition of failure, when that's not the case. So it's like, first you have to figure out, what does success look like for me?
Yeah.
And what does failure look like for me?
Yes.
So that way, when you get up every morning, no matter how you feel, you're either running towards something or running away from something. Either way, you're going in the same direction.
Yeah, that's the key. What does it look like for me? For me. But then it is also important as an entrepreneur to just objectively look at your market and see, okay, what is everyone else doing? Where is my unique voice? Where is my unique take on this? How can I create a specific niche in this market so that I connect with a specific audience, and I can maximize the revenue that comes with always being the person to give them exactly what they want. So it is important to have an objective understanding as a entrepreneur of your market, but then also that fine line, like you're saying, between, okay, this is their success, but where is my success personally as an entrepreneur? Like, where do I want to go with this? Do I want it to be like a small business? Do I want it to be a corporation? Like what is my success?
Yeah, and don't just assume like, oh, I gotta change the world.
I hate AI. let me tell you why. Because I'm an artist, and so AI. A year ago, I was like, AI. What is AI? I don't care about AI. But now, like, even as an illustrator, a freelance illustrator, I'm seeing, oh my goodness, like, everyone is getting their covers with AI because AI is killing the game now. It used to be some generic stuff, but now I'm like, this is AI. This looks like, you know, design or whatever. It's becoming so advanced that artists have to be very strategic about how we are going to stay in the competition, because if we're working and trying to get hired by someone, they're thinking about money. They're like, we're thinking about money. Like, why pay us $150 for a cover when they can just pay $50 and get the same kind of quality? So we just, yeah.
Treat it like any other technology. And like, what does it do? It makes our lives easier so that we can focus on other things, right? It takes our hands out of the equation in some way, or it takes our, like, because AI, well, it is artificial intelligence, right? Well, okay, if that intelligence is artificial, well, what's real intelligence? What's up here? Anything a computer can do, like all that computers are really doing is, or rather, computers are really just mankind's attempt at replicating the human brain, which we didn't make, right? We didn't make the human brain, so what we do is we study our own brains and then try to replicate that using crude materials. And this is how far we've gotten so far. So I would say, you know, look at it as you look at any other type of technology. It takes some of the work out of producing art so that you can rise to a higher level of producing art. Because at the end of the day, I really don't think that AI can outpace the OG. Right? I don't and I think because we started using technology to take the weight off of our bodies. Now we're using technology to take the weight off of our minds. So now we can use our minds and our bodies to do bigger and greater and grander things that the technology still can't do yet.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So I think we need to rethink how we approach art so that AI replaces the paintbrush and the pencil, because that's all it's really supposed to do. But it can't really replace this. I tried earlier today, so.
It's a hard question. It's good for people who are making content and need to get things done fast, but as someone who makes the actual artwork, we just have to figure out how we're going to maintain our revenue. And copyright is something that we can definitely utilize, because a lot of these AI things, you know, they use things from artists and they don't give them credit. And so copyright is something that we can definitely utilize, but it's a question that we're still trying to figure out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back. Dad! You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
I felt accomplished after I got my diploma. Made me feel that I could take on whatever challenges life throws at you.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
When you graduate, they graduate.
You know you don't have to wear your PT gear anymore, right?
It's comfortable.
So how's civilian life treating you?
It's fine.
When I got out, I didn't want to admit that there was anything wrong because I felt like a failure. And then I realized, like, there's nothing to be ashamed of. So I started talking to someone. Maybe you are fine, but if you're not, it's okay.
Thank you.
If you or a veteran you know needs support, don't wait. Reach out. Find resources at va.gov/reach.